Abandoned locations have a way of sparking curiosity, don't they? There's something irresistibly eerie about exploring places where no one has set foot in years. Who knows what you might stumble across? A long-forgotten artifact? A haunting presence? Or worse yet, something that shouldn't be lurking at all? The beauty of these abandoned places lies in the mystery surrounding why they were left behind. Sometimes explorers find things they wish they hadn't. So grab your courage, because in today's video, we're diving into 15 of the creepiest things ever discovered in abandoned places that are anything but ordinary. Let's kick things off with number 15, a shark. Imagine this. You're exploring an abandoned wildlife park and you turn a corner only to be face to face with a shark in formaldehyde. Yup, you heard me right. That's exactly what urban explorer Luke McPherson discovered at the Wildlife Wonderland Zoo in Victoria, Australia. The zoo had been closed since 2012, but Luke couldn't resist documenting his adventure for YouTube in February 2019. Among the decaying animal exhibits and forgotten enclosures was the preserved body of a great white shark, nicknamed Rosie. Found in a massive tank of formaldehyde, Rosie had been dead for years, but she still looked unsettlingly alive. The shark was put on display in 1998, but when the zoo was shut down due to legal issues and wildlife offenses, Rosie remained, eventually leaking hazardous chemicals from her tank. Can you imagine stumbling across a giant predator's body in a dusty, abandoned zoo? It's one of those, I'll sleep with the lights on tonight moments. Number 14. Tombstones in tombstones. Now here's a discovery that could haunt your nightmares. In October 2019, construction workers demolishing a building in the Ukrainian village of Tarasa unearthed something shocking. Tombstones, and lots of them, buried beneath the foundation. This wasn't some ancient burial ground either. No, it turns out the Soviets had tried to erase the Mennonite community's past by constructing the building directly on top of their graves in the 1930s. Talk about disrespect. The gravestones were elaborate and well-crafted, making it easier to trace them back to their origins in Manitoba, Canada. I wonder if the poor souls resting underneath were rolling over in their graves as the wrecking ball came down. It raises an unsettling question. How many paranormal happenings have taken place inside these buildings, built on sacred ground? How would you feel living or working in a place where the dead had been buried beneath your feet? Well, let us know your thoughts in the comment below. Now let's move to number 13, a witch. Sometimes reality is stranger than fiction. In Detroit, Officer Ted Robertson was just doing his usual rounds when he heard strange noises coming from an abandoned home in the Delray neighborhood. Curious, he decided to investigate. Little did he know, this would lead him to one of the creepiest moments of his career. Peering into the window, he captured footage of what seemed to be a figure, a ghostly figure, in the yard. Later, he learned about the Delray witch, a woman named Rose Varys, notorious for a string of murders. Could it be? Had he just witnessed something supernatural in that crumbling house? While the video footage left more questions than answers, the chilling possibility that he saw the ghost of Rose Varys still gives me the chills. Maybe the witch was simply checking in on her former haunts. Or maybe she was checking on us. The moral of the story? Always be careful when exploring abandoned places. Number 12, a tiger. Here's a wild one for you. Imagine calling the cops on a tiger hiding in an abandoned house. That's exactly what happened in February 2009 in Houston. A man, high on cannabis, reported seeing a tiger locked in a filthy cage inside an abandoned property. The cops didn't believe him at first, until they got to the scene. Sure enough, there was a large tiger, cramped in a cage, looking like it had seen better days. The tiger had no owner, no signs of life, just packages of meat scattered around the room. It was a dangerous and bizarre situation. Who on earth would abandon a tiger in such a manner? Thankfully, the poor animal was rescued and taken to a sanctuary. This strange story is a reminder that exotic animals should never be kept as pets. If you still have that Little Tony the Tiger cartoon stuck in your head, it's time to let it go and realize that these majestic creatures belong in their natural habitats, not in someone's home. Number 11. Old specimens. The aftermath of Hurricane Katrina left behind more than just destruction. It left behind a graveyard of abandoned buildings, one of which was a charity hospital in New Orleans. Once one of the oldest and busiest hospitals in Louisiana, this place had fallen into an eerie disrepair. A decade later, urban explorers discovered old specimens still housed within the hospital's decaying walls, biohazardous material, vials of blood, and even human body parts. Now, if that's not a nope moment, I don't know what is. The building, despite its grim contents, still stands today as a chilling reminder of the disaster. The thought of wandering through abandoned hospitals, knowing that remnants of medical history are left behind, can really make you rethink that old saying, "It's just a building." Some places are just too spooky to visit, especially when they might still be harboring toxic remnants from the past. Number 10. A bomb. War never really ends, does it? And even decades after World War II, the remnants of battle can still be found in abandoned places. Case in point, a worker in Athens, Greece, discovered a live WO2 grenade in November 2019 while cleaning out a building. Imagine that. After 75 years, bombs are still lurking around, waiting to make a big splash. In fact, over 2.7 million tons of explosives were dropped on Germany alone during the war, and some of those bombs never went off. Germany still has to regularly evacuate people because of these forgotten weapons. These old bombs don't care if it's 1945 or 2024, they're still ready to cause chaos. So, when you're exploring abandoned buildings, just remember, not everything left behind is good. Some things might literally explode in your face, and it's not what you want on your bucket list, trust us. Number 9. Padlocked dungeon. This one's a real head-scratcher. In Ontario, Canada, an abandoned farmhouse built in 1884 had been forgotten for years, that is, until construction workers arrived for a demolition job. They found something chilling. A new, freshly padlocked dungeon beneath the property. I mean, who in their right mind would install a dungeon in an abandoned farmhouse? But here's the kicker. As the investigation continued, the whole property mysteriously burned down, erasing most of the evidence. Was it an attempt to hide something? Maybe whatever was inside that dungeon was so horrific, even the local authorities couldn't handle it. What could have been hidden in that dark, locked space that was so bad it had to be destroyed? And now, the answers are lost in the flames, leaving the town to wonder forever. No one knows for sure what was inside that mysterious dungeon, but it's a terrifying reminder of the secrets and dangers that can be lurking in abandoned places. Number 8. The Koi Pond. Abandoned shopping malls are creepy in themselves, flickering lights, empty halls, the sound of your footsteps echoing. But when a koi pond shows up inside one, now, that's both fascinating and unsettling. In Bangkok, Thailand, the New World Mall fell into disrepair after it was abandoned and never properly opened. Over time, rainwater filled the building, and locals brought in fish, turning the mall into a giant makeshift koi pond. The entire place now looks like something out of a post-apocalyptic movie, with fish swimming under shattered glass and flooded floors. It's strangely beautiful in its decay, but also eerie as all get out. Who knew shopping malls could turn into underwater worlds? That's one way to reinvent retail, though we doubt it's what the mall planners had in mind. It's a haunting reminder of what happens when humans abandon their creations and nature takes over. Now, let's move to something more spooky. Number 7. The Village of Dolls. The Village of Dolls in Nagoro, Japan, is a place straight out of your worst nightmares. Once home to around 300 people, this mountain settlement has seen its population dwindle to just 30 in recent years. But here's the kicker. The buildings are now filled with life-sized dolls. These aren't just any dolls. Each one is a replica of a former villager, created by Tsukimi Ayano, one of the last remaining residents. These dolls are posed in eerily lifelike scenes, making it look like the village is frozen in time. Imagine walking through this ghost town and seeing a doll sitting at the bus stop or working in the fields. Creeped out yet? The dolls are a way of keeping the memories of the villagers alive, but they also give the village an unsettling, otherworldly vibe that no one would want to encounter after dark. Will you visit the Village of Dolls? We'll let you decide. But one thing's for sure, it's definitely not your average tourist destination. Number 6. UFO Village in Taiwan. Tucked away in the rolling hills of Taiwan lies a curious and eerie location known as UFO Village. Despite its name, the mysterious pods scattered across the area are not the result of extraterrestrial activity. Instead, these strange, otherworldly structures have an equally baffling origin. No one knows for sure where they came from or who built them. Appearing in the 1970s, the square and circular pods, known as Venutros and Future Rose, respectively, were initially intended as futuristic housing. However, for reasons still unclear, the village was abandoned, leaving the pods in a state of ruin. Urban explorers like John Sabo have ventured into this forgotten site, capturing haunting images of the dilapidated structures. Some believe the village fell into disrepair due to the rise of nearby property developments or escalating costs of construction. Other rumors swirl about mysterious accidents and suicides that plagued the area. Number 5. Abandoned Rothschild Mansion. Once the epitome of opulence, the Rothschild Mansion has remained in an eerie state of abandonment. Situated in the heart of England, this grand estate, built in the 1800s, was once home to Baron de Rothschild, a pivotal figure in the world of finance and banking. The mansion's claim to fame, however, extends beyond the Rothschild legacy. During World War II, it served as a secret vault, hiding priceless artworks and valuables from the royal family. Despite its historical significance, the mansion now stands desolate. Featured in films like Batman Begins, it has captured the imaginations of many, yet it remains uninhabited. Urban explorers, including the daring team at Vacant Haven, have uncovered chilling footage of the mansion's derelict interiors. Rooms once filled with luxury now lay in ruin. The Rothschild Mansion has become a symbol of both grandeur and decay, its beauty overtaken by the relentless march of time and neglect, leaving behind a haunting shell of its former glory. Number 4. Ocean Falls, Canada. In the remote wilderness of British Columbia, Canada, lies the abandoned town of Ocean Falls. This once thriving community was founded in the early 1900s, centered around a bustling industry that extracted resources from the abundant natural surroundings. The town flourished as large companies employed its residents, and the town grew around its economic success. However, by the 1970s, the businesses that had sustained the town pulled out, leaving the residents unemployed and the town to crumble. Today, Ocean Falls is a ghost town, accessible only by boat or seaplane. Urban explorer Life of Fluke ventured into this decaying town, capturing footage of empty streets, abandoned homes overtaken by vegetation, and a grand hotel that has stood vacant for nearly 50 years. The town's demise paints a somber picture of economic collapse and the transient nature of the industry, leaving only memories and overgrown ruins in its wake, a haunting reminder of a once thriving community now lost to time. Number 3. The House in the Rock, England. Deep within the English Midlands lies a curious and forgotten slice of history, the House in the Rock. These cave homes, carved into the very rock of the hills, were once inhabited by a unique community who chose to live in these natural dwellings, hidden from the outside world. Dating back hundreds of years, these homes have now become a part of local folklore. The last known resident, John Bramwell, passed away in 1900, marking the end of an era. Urban explorer Adam Mark ventured into one of these rock houses, discovering remnants of a simple, modest life. A living room full of chairs, a fireplace, and a small bedroom tucked away behind. These homes are reminders of a bygone way of life where people lived harmoniously with nature. As urbanization slowly overtook the countryside, these unique homes were abandoned. Their preservation now serves as a memory of simpler times, while questions about their history and ownership remain unanswered. Number 2. Fairy Tale Shoe House, Isle of Wight. On the Isle of Wight, a whimsical structure shaped like a giant boot has stood abandoned for decades. Known as the Fairy Tale Shoe House, this peculiar building once served as a home for a woman in the 1950s. Its design draws inspiration from the famous nursery rhyme, "There was an old woman who lived in a shoe," but its roots stretch beyond the fictional tale. The house is a testament to quirky architecture, yet it has fallen into decay. Urban explorers, like those from the abandoned UKA, embarked on a journey through the woods to find the house, eventually uncovering this hidden gem perched at the base of a steep cliff. After its abandonment, it became a popular spot for children to play, adding an air of nostalgia to the location. Now, the house is a forgotten relic, blending into the landscape and fading away, its story untold to the next generation that passes by. Number 1. Underwater Prison, Estonia. Tucked away beneath the murky waters of Estonia is a chilling reminder of the Soviet era, a prison submerged in a limestone quarry. Built in the 1940s, this Soviet prison held inmates who were forced to work in the harsh conditions of the quarry. With the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s, the prison was abandoned, leaving behind a forgotten relic of oppression. Over time, groundwater seeped into the quarry, flooding the facility and transforming it into an eerie underwater prison. Today, this submerged site has become a popular destination for divers who explore the ruins of the prison, swimming past rusted bars and desolate cells. It's a haunting spectacle, a place where history and nature have collided to create something both surreal and unsettling. As divers glide through the submerged corridors, they are left to ponder the stories of the men who once lived and worked within these haunting walls, now buried beneath the water's surface. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.